And greetings there, folks in the internets today, in this Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, right? Today is hold on, no, let me check. Is today Tuesday? Yes, today is Tuesday. Good, perfect. Not living in the past or the future. Living in the moment, kind of. Making videos tend to just you know, forget that there's a calendar in general. Oh, right. Also, yeah. Well, I kind of knew that today was the last day of what you has. It's the fleet carriers. As a matter of fact, those of you that in the morning managed to go on and do a little bit of fleet carrier fucking around for the little end there, got the chance. I woke up past that, like literally half an hour past the moment they closed down the beta, and I was like, I got more interesting videos to make, so and so I did make, or rather worked on the video, so hopefully you'll be able to see that in the next couple of days at least. So anyways, well, since fleet carriers are over, the beta is over, well, we can start, I guess, recapping essentially what happened and the beta testing process the developers chose to give us. And, well, as Fifalito there in the chats already asked, will it be enough to warrant me, your hypercritical, friendly neighborhood cunt, saying, yeah, it's worth returning? Would that warrant me saying that? Or would it be the complete opposite? Me saying that it's not enough? Well, I guess we'll get to examine these things, and, well, I might have some, oh, God! You... What? I haven't... Thank you? A random stalker? Get on with it, stalker! Yes? He's big... Oh, God! I'm just kidding, it sound right. Alright, well, thank you tremendously. Seriously, appreciate it. I don't know what to say. Also, that dolphin really seems to like me for some reason. Crap. Selmar Zot. Sorry if I got that wrong. Stuff. Yeah. In any case, it's thanks for subscribing there on the Twitch as well. Anyways, right. So my recap essentially is gonna be of the whole process of beta testing, and well, it's gonna start pretty bad. I can tell you that much, as we all know. It's god damn it, piece of fuck! Just like my landings, it seems. Alright, come on. No! Man! Why people bump into me? Man. There we go. Alright. My perfect docking. Just give me a moment. Oh, for fuck's sakes. Anyways, might have some voices in as well, as I usually, open the floor for patrons, subscribers, and what else to, that is Twitch subscribers and what else to come in and chat if you want, of course, and so on and so forth. I don't open it for everyone. System ATR in route. What the fuck? I'm not. Okay, so I'm not wanted, so that's good. So yeah, as much as I would like to open the voice for everyone to come in and give their 2 cents and maybe discuss it with me, for quite obvious reasons, I'll kind of won't. Anyways, also oh, only now I noticed that Soundwave finished the tip jar for May. Oh God. Okay. Un momento. Right, anyways, right, so right. I'll go on and then do some PvPing and whatnot else in just a bit, but yeah. For now, I guess I'll have to just sorta angle my ship a little bit, so we got a little bit of footage going on, and we can start discussing essentially what happened with the fleet carriers, shall we? All right then. Starwind, right? So just so TheYamiks Discord video for perfectly done fleet carrier jump with textures and everything vanish. Yeah, those jumps are interesting. It's interesting that they chose to do the fleet carrier jumps the way they are. But the thing is, they function. The visuals may be glitchy and so on and so forth. I personally will blame that on the general engine and its basically not intended use, if you will. Other than that, honestly, yeah, as long as it works, visual glitches I can sort of take as long as they are, you know, not too intrusive and so on and so forth. So it's all good, ish. That much I can forgive, right? So yeah. Anyways, I just I'll just support TheYamiks and now watch the stream instead of playing it. Well, hey, I'll do my best to provide you with some interesting. Oh gods. So okay. Un momento. I do need to change one thing real quick. Just need to change the tip jar thingamajig that sound wave so generously completed. So screw it. Un momento. Chucks. I don't know. Fuck it. Let's just go with an evil number. And I hate American date standards so much. It's so bad. Why doesn't it accept? Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay. Alright. Seriously, why Americans decided to go with the whole month, day, and then the year? Like just why? It doesn't make sense. Anyways, right, so let's just start recapping, I guess, the fleet carriers. So the fleet carriers, essentially, they the first beta came out on, oh gods, what was the date? Fuck me, now I don't remember the date. Well, regardless, the point is, it came out, right? You can look up the date when it did. And developers essentially released them in an interesting state. So first things first, so everyone logs in and sees fleet carriers, and those that can buy it, well, obviously buy it. Why not? And so they begin testing. Right away, an immediate issue basically surfaces. That immediate issue was that essentially there were a few systems in which if you basically jumped in with too many fleet carriers, if you will, you would immediately crash and would not be able to get at all back into the game because, well, the system, or was it system map? Well, regardless, one or the other basically broke and caused an instant issue, or rather, I managed to get to the same place. It, you know, hangs in there for a second and then crashes you back to the main menu. So here's the thing, right? So I expect in beta there to be bugs and whatnot else, and in any games, public betas and whatnot else, there usually is plenitude of bugs and whatnot else. But game-breaking bugs you don't often see. Unless you're a developer who is absolutely incompetent. Okay, I'm being, you know, facetious as and over-exaggerating cunty self that I am, right? But the thing is, so here's the thing, right? So Elite Dangerous developers have been developing, allegedly, of course, the whole fleet carrier charade, thingamajig, whatever you want to call it, for the past 2 years. Okay, so they announced it in Frontier Expo, and it was announced as if it was one of the big ending goals for, or ending features for Beyond. So it was supposed to come out with Beyond, and it was delayed. All right, if you can't deliver it in that state, you need a few extra, months or whatever else. Okay, fine. But no, it was delayed, twice. First off the Beyond, and then after that again. And overall, it gained an extra, I think it was a year or near a year. In any case, that whole level of wonderful delay time. Anyways, so in that whole time, so they've been developing the fucking thing for a long ass time, and when you release it for public, well, maybe not consumption, but testing, right, on your beta servers, which most likely will be not, logged in by every Johnny, Bobby, and whatnot else, which is fair enough. Thus, you would have probably a lesser chance of getting a super stress tested crash, which usually is a thing, right? Obviously, in beta, not everyone's gonna log in and get a fleet carrier, even if you could, right? So in the live game, obviously, you're gonna see even bigger sort of stress tests and so on and so forth. So, so this was the opportunity to truly stress test the system and see what completely breaks and what not. But the thing is, for something that is developed for such a long time, for these 2 years, even with breaks, and I assume that the team who developed fleet carriers took a break from that feature and went on to work on something else. That is usually a part of software development, right? You work on something, you get it in relative state, and once that's done, you need to sort of shift priorities, if you will, and then, well, probably they did. If they didn't, then that becomes even more demonstrable showcase of their ineptitude. But regardless, let's give them benefit of the doubt that they will be basically, taking a break from fleet carriers at one point or another. And still, as a mainline feature for the Beyond, I really did expect them to do enough testing to make sure that, such things as too many fleet carriers in single system wouldn't cause, crashes. I honestly do expect from game developers to do their fucking job and stress test the fucking feature, and when they release it, be that in public beta or on live game. Because let's be honest, the public betas often are done for multitude of reasons. One of them would be publicity, which sometimes works. It depends on what type of game we are talking about. And of course, something like Valorant was a good example of PR stuff, as well as which actually succeeded tremendously, which I don't think that they did, open Valorant for a closed beta because, hey, we just want to test it out. I mean, yeah, you use that situation to test out stuff, but aren't public betas for stress testing and bug finding? Well, any beta, any sort of pre-release and even post-release, version is there for everything, really. But the thing is, see, in the current state of gaming industry, yes, we have massive games and so on and so forth, and I understand that, developing for something complex as whatever game out there is, really, right, is not the easiest job in the world. But then again, there's, in the recent times, I've seen so many developers, be that Frontier Developments, be that current Rogue Planet games or whatnot else, any really developer out there that, does the public betas or just simply releases stuff, often just ends up releasing essentially well, half-baked updates. And David, thank you. I'll read that in just a bit. I'd really appreciate it. But the thing is, there's the current sort of a... and I blame this on producers mostly, of any game team producers. They have the task of sort of pushing the team to, you know, work on something and focus on developing something and making it work, even if it is not fully, you know, fully featured, if you will. Just making it work and making it publishable. Or rather pushing it out. And often these producers in you know, these companies just overestimate the capability of the workers underneath them. And well, in my mind, often they are the causes of just seeing, well, features being pushed out too early in a half sort of working state. And there, I don't know, is it in the industry that they think that, hey, we're gonna push it out and then fix it later, a good practice? Is that really something that works? And, well, frankly, now looking at some other things in the industry, yeah, you kind of start to think whether or not actually pushing out half, you know, working, or rather working enough and then fixing it later, fixing it in post, as editors in, you know, film industry say, right, or what else, you know, fixing it in post, and so on and so forth, is a good tactic. Well, personally, yeah, sure, it can work. Sure, it can work, but personally, yeah, I really despise that sort of a technique. I much rather have a update that is properly done and tested. And sure, yeah, you can't predict everything, which is fine, but there are some more obvious things that shouldn't cause, or rather should be already implemented. What I'm asking for essentially is from a developer to, once they release something, it to work. Right, and Elite, the thing is, right now, yes, I'm referring to Elite as one example, but and then Fleet Carriers being the key point or focal point here, but it's not been the sole, well, instance of something like this happening. See, Frontier Developments, or, well, in this case, rather, developers for Elite Dangerous, the smaller team of the Frontier Developments, these people have unfortunately shown that either they are not given enough time, or they just simply don't want to take enough time to develop fully a feature that wouldn't crash on the most basic things. Edge cases always happen, and that's what, you know, beta sometimes, you know, is really useful for. But when not even an edge case causes a massive fucking crash for everyone, it's just, you start to wonder, well, what the fuck were you working on these 2 years? Were you just flapping about and doing nothing and then just, you know, rushed it in the last couple of fucking weeks? Why is this, you know, obvious bug not fixed? Why is half of the fucking features barely working? And as a matter of fact, you know, I'm gonna talk about the commodity market, which was tremendously fucking broken when Fleet Carriers first released. So that's another thing. So yeah, it wasn't the only thing that you obviously jump in one system with multiple fucking carriers and all of a sudden no one can log in from that fucking system. Good, un momento. I'm getting some information from Dutton. And that is being said by un momento. Who? Actually, that is a pretty decent quote. Thank you. I'm gonna put something on the screen in a moment. Right. Give me a moment. This is a wonderful quote. So, and that was said, let's see, yeah, a couple of days ago, as a matter of fact. So, let's look at, well, I don't want to spotlight one specific developer, but when a developer is saying absolute, wonderful things that the rest of the industry should listen to, well, you kind of have to promote it, as it is the proper practice, or rather proper thinking, in my opinion. So here we go. So Kairos here says, this rubbish has to stop. QA is as important to a project as any other discipline. That's right. Just as important as all the different software engineers, artists, UI, UX, this is user experience, design, audio folk, VA, and the admin staff who look after all of us. Community managers too. QA is, or are, as important, that is quality assurance, the testers essentially, are as important to a project. And that is true. See, this speaks of a sort of a bigger issue in the industry. Yeah, anyways, right, so I'm just looking at things. Right, so the thing is, with QA testing, see, in game development industry, and this probably speaks of Frontier or many other companies out there. Again, this is just a hearsay from a few companies out there, not necessarily speaking of Frontier, but regardless. See, QA testing in the industry has gotten to a point, but that essentially it's looked down upon quite a lot. Yes, it doesn't require, such a big degree in specific field like, again, engineers and what else. True. But on the other hand, you have essentially that crucial point which essentially catches and makes sure that whatever you have in your rush moves and whatnot else have made actually works, and then works as intended in even the edge cases. In the industry, you see, there is that unfortunate sort of a mentality in some companies that they hire, people for testing for something like, what was it, 9 months? I think it was, 9 months or so, and that's basically just before the benefits of the job kicks in. Well, it depends on the country and depends on the company and so on and so forth, but in many companies it's basically like 9 months, 6 months or something like that before they receive the job offered benefits, or or the legal obligated benefits that the country in which the company is residing in get that essentially, or are mandated to receive. Yeah, so companies basically hire these people for just before that sort of timer starts hitting, basically utilize their work without giving them benefits or bonuses or whatnot else, and gets rid of them as soon as that sort of term comes on. Obviously, the managers and whatnot else, or hire more useful people, get taken on and whatnot else, but usually this is a very common tactic, if you will, in at least a few companies, which is very unfortunate. And well, I mean, I can understand that when a game is being developed, right, up until the release date and maybe a month or so afterwards, the game is run by a big staff, right, 100+ people and whatnot else, which is, well, depending on the game, of course. After the release, after that 1 month of testing, bug fixing and whatnot else, essentially they sort of don't need those devs. Obviously, you won't need 101 well, UI designers, right? You're gonna let either most of them go, or, well, put them to work in some other areas in your company, and on different projects, different games, and so on and so forth, which is quite understandable, right? That's how many software development companies work. Especially you can see this with video games, right? There are some professions that are more useful, engine developers, for example, right? Yeah, sure, you're gonna need engine developers, but not all of them for, past the release of the game, right? So it is quite unfortunate, but that's how industry is run oftentimes. Just when you need them, hire them, then immediately let them go as soon as they are not needed. There are exceptions within the industry and so on and so forth. But anyways, about the QA testing. QA testing is looked upon or looked down on the most. And well, again, sure, yeah, these people who test your stuff and so on and so forth, again, most of the time don't need the biggest education what it does. But the thing is, it's trust me, it's your safety net. I mean, your safety net is essentially composed of people who are, afraid of their position in the company or the job and what else, or basically are being ignored, even in, listening to the decisions. Because let's be honest, QA testers are probably the people who play your game the most out of all your company, in the more realistic ways. So yeah, listening to their at least suggestions would be probably the most valuable thing you can have, beyond, of course, listening to your community, which is another topic. But yeah, I'm absolutely with Kay here, and good on. I completely agree, and it's truly nice to see, her saying this little piece. So yeah, there are good folks at Frontier that recognizes that wonderful importance of each team member, because say what you will, this is all collaborative work to make a game, and well, doesn't matter really what kind of a thing. Just again, sure, some people have bigger certain roles, but shouldn't be ignored. That's kind of the thing, and it's very easy to sort of slide into that. I don't contact with this person, so screw them, or screw this department, or whatnot else. So there you go. So yeah. So anyways, back to fleet carriers. Speaking of QA, how did the fucking QA not catch the fact that fleet carrier, for example, commodity market was broken? That's a good question for me, or from me. There's the thing, yes. When bugs are not being caught and what it else, you can blame two people, right? The person who created the algorithm, who created the UI, and blah 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 blah. Basically, who designed the damn thing, and the people who had to test it, because well, it often is not the same person, and yeah. Commodity market. So on beta 1, commodity market, and even up to beta 2, the commodity market was a bit glitchy, if you will. It didn't quite update all the information and so on and so forth. The design is a bit different as well. Regardless, on the beta 1, you weren't able to place buy and sell order for the same.
You have condoms, friend.
Pressy, thank you. Fleet carriers for 2.8%. Actually, you might be right, because remember, only about 5% of the community can afford one, the base price. And how many of those 5%ers can actually run the fleet carrier for long term and want to run for the long term? That's a big different question as well, regardless. So yeah, the commodity market essentially didn't allow you, and I don't think it allowed it in beta 2 either, to essentially, let's see, what was it? Put a buy order for, let's say hydrogen, right? So let's say you want to buy hydrogen from people who are coming to your fleet carrier, and then sell hydrogen as well, just for the more expensive price, like normal stations do, right? Normal stations often offer buying and selling of commodities. Well, most of the time they buy basically everything and sell specific things. So let's say I want to buy Shinrarta waters, right? I can buy it for the price, and also sell it for a price. You know, hold on. Don't think it's shown, but as soon as you buy something, it shows essentially. Regardless, the point is, right? So let's say hydrogen fuel. No, it doesn't buy. Let's see. I don't think it actually lists as if. Yeah, it doesn't look like they list things that they buy. But essentially, as soon as you buy, crap! I don't have the fucking space. Give me a moment. Let's say I equip something, but yeah. A starport may buy back something. Let's say you bought too much of food cartridges, right? Well, you can sell them back to any station, right? As long as you bought it, you know, in their thing, but for a higher price. Yet you can't offer the same sort of a service, or rather, you can't set up the sort of same issue, same sort of a order for your fleet carrier. In beta 2, it was a bit more stable. The UI wasn't crashing or glitching out as much. So that was fixed, which was nice to see. But on the other hand, you were still not able to put buy and sell orders, if I remember correctly. TheYamiks. So, yep, they should have kept the original. But they wanted to get more people in the game, so fleet carriers seem to be something that everyone can grind to, but not realizing that those of used. Yeah, actually, you get the point. TheYamiks actually has a really interesting point there that actually pertains to what was the point of fleet carriers. Personally, my stance, or my suspicion for fleet carriers is essentially that developers have created fleet, or rather announced fleet carriers in Frontier Expo back in the day, just to have that headliner feature. Because the two headliner features of Beyond were squadrons and fleet carriers. So, yeah, they didn't really announce anything else, and yeah, they only had those two names. One of them, again, Squadrons, we kind of speculated what was Squadrons supposed to be. Maybe a guild system, maybe not. They didn't even tell us properly. From what I hear, they had at least some idea of what the fleet carriers could be. As far as I remember, Plater was having breakfast the next day with some of the Frontier people, and they were talking about essentially having fleet carriers being tied into squadron system, which personally I would find a bit more agreeable sort of a arrangement in my mind, but well, here we are. Regardless, now we have them as a personal thing, really. But yeah. Alright, return to the surface. Here we go. Oh god, Super Sailor Moore. Yes, hey, thanks for Twitch subscribe there. Really appreciate it. What was, right. So let me show you what I mean by buying and selling. Just to showcase what you can't do on fleet carriers. Let's say you buy hydrogen fuel, one unit of hydrogen fuel. Alright, you have bought it. You can buy more if you want to for the price that it shows. Or you can sell it back. But you're gonna lose credits. You're gonna lose credits because you're literally giving them back whatever you already picked up. Now, why can't you, or why weren't you able to do that on fleet carriers day one, on beta 1? It really just makes no sense. Yes, you want to buy something, and then again you want to give out the same thing? Well, why would you like to give out something that you already want to buy, right? Or vice versa. From that perspective, when you think about it, yeah, okay, it makes sense. But when you're thinking about as a trader, it's always about buying low, selling high, and when you can't do both at the same time, it's just a mess. Right? Essentially, you're going to be buying first, and then you need to either decide one day to, you know, if the full capacity has been purchased, right, then just, you know, cut the selling order, then issuing a buying order, cutting the buy order, you know, wherever it stands, and then issuing a sell order, because both at the same time could not exist, which was just why. But anyways, I'm not the one designing the fleet carrier, so that's really my question, right? So you can't do this, right? Unfortunately. Let's see. After that, so yeah, commodity market in of itself was a weird thing. As a matter of fact, it's just, I don't know about you, but this is just kind of weird. Because see, with commodity market, you are able to set whatever price you want with between the 5% and 1000% mark or markup. So essentially, you can sell high and buy low. And the only place where where the credits go is not in the ether, but to the person, an actual person who's buying and selling that stuff to your fleet carrier. So effectively, they created a super easy way to transfer credits between people, between players, between accounts, if you will. And yeah, you could do that even without fleet carriers, but now it has become super easy because of the capacity. Remember, if you wanted to transfer credits from player to player, well, probably the best way to do it would be to just, push out whatever expensive cargo you can from your, cargo, and have someone else pick it up, then go sell it. That was very slow process. That was truly very slow process. But now, because of the fleet carriers, the credit transfer, there's a slight step of, setting up the selling and buying orders and what it does, but realistically speaking, it's super simple right now. And basically, it serves as a literal credit transfer service. And while it is perhaps useful to some, problem is, as I've said time and time again, I look at a video game and I try to sort of decipher what the design principles were, what the ideas were, and what were the developers trying to tell me, not only in the story way, in the whatever they put in the story, but also in the gameplay mechanics and how they want me to play the game. Because let's be honest, a good game, even a bad game as a matter of fact, will tell you a little bit about something that the developer or developers are thinking about you as a player, and about their stance in, well, many issues, if you will. Mostly about game design, but regardless. Or how they think the game should be played. For example, there was this wonderful, and I'm gonna spoil a little bit of the beginner's guide, but if you haven't played it, I truly fucking recommend you go and try out beginner's guide. It's absolutely wonderful. So there was this stage in beginner's guide where essentially you had a maze, right? A maze of, well, just a simple 3D maze. You have your first person model, you walk through the maze, and well, that's it, right? Then later on, that sort of in that story, that developer has created a completely see-through or transparent maze. The walls are completely see-through, so you can't see where you're going, only that you stop. And whenever your character were to touch a wall, you're literally spawned back at the start. And on top of that, you can hear, some really bad audio effect of what it does, something to annoy you. And essentially, the first maze is a normal one, right? So it's a challenge, and that is completable. But the second one is so punishing that you can feel the developer literally intended to just not only not allow you to finish it, even though there is a solution, just the oozing hate to the player is seething through that sort of design. You can feel that the developer hates that player for literally by making something as horrendously punishing and annoying, if you will. So the same thing can go with many developing principles. Not as clear cut as that, but the point still stands, right? Developers often put in a little bit of themselves in the way they design games and so on and so forth. So with the League Dangerous, unfortunately, it just with the fleet carriers it seeped through quite a lot. And Salty Heart says hello, and everyone else as well today. Hopefully you're doing fine and dandy, as I'm talking about game design and so on and so forth. So let's talk about upkeep. If you're going into the whole topic of how a game designer can show their own hand or tell you a little bit about what they think of you, well, fleet carriers was a good example of it. See, fleet carriers have upkeep, so that was literally you play the game or not, you're being punished. Now that tells you basically that the game developer literally is threatening you. Just if you don't play it or play it, we're gonna still take away your stuff. It's not fair, is it? In my mind, it's not very fair. So yeah, it's upkeep in my mind, or renting features, regardless. Those often, unless they're designed in a specific way, they still smell of essentially ineptitude or downright distaste for the player. Truly, because again, it's just, hey, you play my game or not, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna still take your shit, or take away some of your shit, right? That sort of print that doesn't take much of effort to decipher, now does it? But on top of that, of course, in the first beta, there was the depreciation. Essentially, there wasn't not only that threat of losing a little bit of cash and then having your fleet carrier decommissioned forcibly, but there was also, if you essentially get forcibly decommissioned, or you decide to decommission yourself, well, depending on how far you are from the selling point, you're gonna lose money, and depending on how long you've had that fleet carrier, you'd lose even more money. So altogether, my speculation was that you could lose basically all of your fleet carrier's price, and just get literally nothing in return for not paying up the debt. So the whole topic of sunk cost fallacy was tremendously hard, and these three things, the upkeep, the depreciation, and the distance penalty, if literally sold your fleet carrier, those to me spoke as literally developers, first of all, not giving a fuck whether or not you play the game with skill or not. You're still gonna be punished, so it doesn't matter how you play the game, you're still gonna get punished. And well, if you get punished, if you don't do what developers want you to do, which realistically speaking was literally just logging in every day or every week or every month or whatnot else, or just having ground the game forever, was to basically just take all your shit. And the thing is, I found that extremely disgusting. I found that sort of a mentality so blatant. I truly felt like the game developers, whoever designed this damn thing, literally hated the players. Because what kind of other designer or a team would really just go out and decide, hey, we know that this game is fun for you. We know that, you enjoy the game and whatnot else, but we're just gonna take away your shit. I mean, just, you don't like to play the game? Well, guess what? We're gonna still take your shit. No, your players are your biggest fans. Why do you want to punish them? If they fuck up, doing a challenge or doing a mission or something like that. Yes, they failed the challenge. But on top of that, just slapping a fucking sunk cost fallacy, fucking renting system, just no, that was horrendous. And to this day, we still have the upkeep. After beta 2, developers are still intent to take away credits from you. Or, well, essentially the lifeblood of, the base lifeblood of the game's main gameplay loop. Of course, yeah, there's no more depreciation, there's no more distance penalty, so there's relatively little sunk cost in comparison, but sunk cost is still there. Because again, you spent 5 billion into this thing, and if you don't pay up, or you don't play the game, and, you know, upkeep the fucking thing for long enough time, you're still gonna lose, at the very least, 200 million. Right? Now, the 200 million, it's still cash, right? And that's just not by not playing. If you have, let's say, services installed on your fleet carrier, and you know, regardless if you have put them on suspension or not, guess what? Whenever you sell services, you lose at least half of the price. So, yeah. The more stuff you cram onto a fleet carrier, the more... what can I say? The more sunk cost it becomes. And then... Yeah, yes.
Upkeep is the one and only reason why I will not get a fleet carrier. Simple
Neither
as
will
that.
I. Neither will I. I don't support that sort of a absolute disgusting mechanic. I'm sure people from the privileged positions, people who have had either the time, effort, or, well, not effort really, just the time, because grinding the game doesn't take too much effort, it's just wasting time. But I mean, fine. A little bit of effort regardless, right? So people who have put in way more time than you in the game will just shout from the mountaintops and say that, hey, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's manageable. For me, it doesn't matter if it's manageable or not. I see what the fucking feature is designed to do. And sure, you can sort of give an excuse that developers have essentially put in the upkeep as the penalty system for the positives that the fleet carrier offers. And that is fair, because, again, fleet carriers, unlike normal ships, can't be destroyed. So you can't, let's say, misuse the fleet carrier and fail a challenge or something like that. With, you know, a normal ship, if you fail, let's say, flying, yeah? If you decide to, you know, boost out of the starport, like me, and explode, like me, you know, you fucked up. You deserve a penalty for that. And that costs a little bit of that value. At least you do feel that value of the fleet carrier, right? You fucked up, you incur a big cost, sort of penalty. But fleet carriers don't have that, so the question is upkeep really the best way to do a penalty system for the positives? And the next question is, do we even need a penalty system for the positives? You can say that without the penalty side of this massive positive that the fleet carrier gives, well, it becomes kind of meaningless, or becomes even more OP than ever, right? Well, kinda, yeah, you're right. As a matter of fact, you're right. And that is the kind of an issue with the fleet carrier, because it can't be destroyed, and because it is persistent. Well, you're left kind of scratching your head. Well, let's say we are the developers, right? How would we give, let's just say that, penalty for, or rather the flip side of the positives, right? What kind of a challenge, or what kind of a, I don't know, the work, the thing that you need to do to, you know, deserve that positive be given to you, or keep that penalty for that positives, right? What kind of thing you would implement? And for me, upkeep really is not a thing that I would pick first, for sure. First things first, do we need fleet carriers to be persistent? That's one question, right? After that, there's of course, you know, the general question: do we even need the penalties, right? I personally would like. Actually, I did really like the wonderful idea that actually a multitude of people already have had in the past. But yeah, there were some viewers, you know, on the first beta that I streamed and so on and so forth, that suggested that, hey, what about there is no penalty? What about, you know, we just get fleet carriers, everyone gets a fleet carrier when they reach triple elites, right? Why not? Personally, I find that as an interesting idea. As long as you balance it out properly, you know, maybe take away some positives in a form of, yeah, you can, you know, have outfitting on your ship and whatnot else. You don't need to even pay for it. But on the other hand, you will not dictate it. You know, whatever system you're in or whatever outfitting, you know, it comes with. It's rigid. Okay, well, if you take away a little bit of customizability and reduce the penalties for it, you know, in that way, I personally don't mind it. If I'm not the arbiter of, you know, what is sold in my fleet carrier, honestly, unless it's, you know, commodity market and what else, I really probably won't lose too much sleep. So, I don't know. But yeah, personally, the triple elites, personally, I find that a really good idea. An interesting idea that can be balanced properly, and definitely would be more rewarding than literally just having ground your face against the wall. But then again, getting triple elite is still grinding. And I did say previously, right? Normal ships have a penalty side. You know, you have a really big ship that can do very big things and whatnot else. It has the flip side. If you fuck up, well, then you lose a lot of cash. That is that flip side of the positives that the ship offers. On the fleet carrier, well, you have a big thing that can do many things, and the flip side is not when you fuck up, but basically, as long as you grind the game, it doesn't matter how you get the money. As long as you grind the game, and let's be honest, the only way you can get, you know, massive amounts of credits to upkeep well, it's not really massive amounts, but regardless, right? As long as you grind the game, you're gonna get to keep the fleet carrier, and that design mentality in my mind is a no. I don't want to just grind the game just to keep my shit, right? No. Just no. Okay, Dark Souls comes into my mind immediately after I say that, right? Dark Souls in my mind is, as a matter of fact, a complete opposite of grinding. Well, sure, there is a little bit of grinding in it if you're going for the soul collection and what else, but regardless. The point here is that with Dark Souls, you have your, you know, souls you have collected, you know, the points with whom you buy either items or upgrades and what else. You take those always with you. You have no way to store them unless it's in an item form. Regardless, you take that item, your whole gear, and you go out in the world. If you fail a fucking survival check, you know, basically if you fuck up your dodges, rolls, and whatnot else, and you die, you lose all those souls. However, the game is just not penalizing you like that out of the gate. They offer you also to go and recover it as well. And the thing is, you get to keep and accumulate the souls and upgrade your stuff, as long as you are careful and skillful enough to go and kill the monsters and bosses and whatnot else. In Elite, unfortunately, you have... pick whatever mission you want, pick whatever profession you want, and off you go. Grind your fate. Because, well, realistically speaking, the state of Elite dangerous. If you specifically go with Elite state, well, why would you go do combat or AXI, you know, the Targoid killing, that are probably the hardest ways to accumulate credits, when you know that mining literally offers 0% or 0 chances of getting killed, or 0 threat, 0 risk, if you will, and you accumulate about 20 times, or give or take, more cash or faster than doing combat, the most skillful gameplay. And we're going back to the whole risk versus reward gameplay. It's just, it disappoints me to see Elite Dangerous, a game that decided, actually we can, you know, hold on. A game that had its CEO, David Braben, say, hold on, this particular line. This particular one line, and have a game where there's specifically one to three very profitable ways of making credits, and everything else is completely ignored. Give me a moment. Let's listen in to Mr. Braben back in 2012. Let's turn off the musics here for a second. And there we go.
Traders. One of the things that we want to do with the alpha and beta tests is to ensure that no one role is a massive generator of cash. What I don't want as a game like this is being forced to forever asteroid mine or whatever it is, if there is one way of gaining a lot of money. I mean, it's one of the standard things for games is to essentially encourage the enjoyment.
Let's listen to that again a little bit.
What to do with the alpha and beta tests is to ensure that no one role is a massive generator of cash. What I don't want as a game like this is being forced to forever asteroid mine or whatever it is, if there is one way of gaining a lot of money. I mean, it's one of the standard things for games is to essentially encourage the enjoyment. You do.
And he's completely right. You see, hold on, let me turn down the background noise. There we go. And oh, they're back. Right. So yeah, essentially, David has, you know, a normal, typical grasp on, you know, what video games, you know, rather should do, right? My personal opinion is that you should accumulate some, or rather cash or credits or whatever currency in the game or upgrades faster if you are skilled. That is my personal opinion, right? If you're very skilled and you know how, or rather, well, if you have skill, right, or knowledge through which you showcase that you are capable of doing something more efficiently or better, you should be rewarded for it. If you can prove that you can do it. If you can't, well, there's always the safe path, right? A safe path through which you can go and, well, in a longer time span, but still achieve the same goal. In Elite, unfortunately, the place where you showcase your skill and knowledge is completely obliterated by just the most safest possible way of grinding. The most safest path is also the literally most profitable one. And I ask to everyone, right? Who would actually go out and do, let's say, from Sidewinder to even a Python in a hazardous zone? Who of their right mind would actually go and do those things? If you know what the game is, why would you ever resort to doing more skillful and lower paying job? It just doesn't make sense. It's just pragmatism. There we go. And it's just, and with that state, when you think about, you know, fleet carriers in the context as well, when they are literally just, you know, hey, as long as you grind the game, we're gonna let you keep your shit. Well, developers are literally saying that the grind is the key. The grind is the gameplay to them. The grind is the main focus that should be looked upon, and not the skillful gameplay. No. Targoids, well, that's just, you know, hey, sure, it's a little bit of something. Somebody in the company had a good idea, we implemented it. Okay, it stays. But in reality, the true economy within the game is just... true economy is just fucked. What can I else say? And I don't know what else to say, really. It's just... And then on top of that, basically fleet carriers are built on the existing economy of the game. The fact that grinding trumps anything else in Elite. And by that standard, sure, yeah, I guess fleet carriers that constantly penalize you if you don't grind, well, that kind of makes sense. Right? If you're looking at that, state of game, it's just, it becomes disgusting, frankly. And of course, we haven't talked about fucking engineering, but as a matter of fact, I've made a video about it, so yeah. And ever since the beginning of Elite Dangerous, as a matter of fact, this feeling has been there since beginning, as a matter of fact. The developers, the design team, or, you know, whoever decides the general direction at which Elite is going for, right? It's always been targeted towards repetitiveness of the same fucking task, rather than multitude of tasks. Engineering tried to vary up the gameplay, but let's be honest, gamers are gamers, and we're gonna see the easiest way to do multiple things, or as many things at the same time, or as fast as we can, rather than just doing it a little bit of everything. Yet it's developers' task, it's developers' job. You can even argue that game designers and directors' job it is to basically encourage and plan out more varied gameplay, so that the players wouldn't be encouraged, or players wouldn't constantly do one thing. But here we are. As a matter of fact, I'm rather surprised when developers did introduce new mining, right? With the new mining tools and so on and so forth, when Alexandrite, Void Opals, and blah 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 became super fucking expensive and what else, and profitable, right? So you could, you know, do mining for literally even more cash than the previously constantly nerf-hammered passenger missions or trade missions, wing missions, right? When you have developers actually coming out, it's just and literally telling you that no, this new feature we developed and it is super profitable. We designed it this way. We're not gonna be, you know, making sure that it's nerfed or what else. And of course, they tried nerfing or changing it up a little bit later, but let's be honest, how much it changed, I don't know. Really, it minimally changed, kind of. So there we go. It's thing is, and okay, we can actually, now that I think of it, right? We're constantly looking at the best ways to make money in Elite as well, right? Money making on the Void Opals, the money making on passenger missions, trade missions, wing missions, and what else. Whatever the most paid job is, that, you know, we always look at that because it is the outlier, and well, why would you look at anything else? But you know, I try to step back from time to time and, you know, take a grander look on the environment of Elite, and yeah, the topic of combat and exploration comes up, right? The least paid jobs in Elite, and missions as well, as a matter of fact. Well, those that are not wing or those that are not trade, right? The topic of why are they so low paid comes up constantly. Then you start to wonder, when was the last time developers adjusted those lowest paying jobs? Well, I personally don't really remember that myself. See, there were a few times. Actually, not to think of it. Yeah, the last big time was mining, right? With mining, as they introduced new tools, obviously that was the new hot thing, so making it profitable was only positive for them, because everyone would be using it, right? And then maybe soft nerf it later, which they did. But even then, it became, or is still to this day, the most profitable fucking thing, so fun times. And funny thing is, the developers are so keen on nerfing the most profitable things, right? As I previously stated, right? Every time there was a new gold rush back in the day, they constantly, the next day or the next work day, they nerfed it immediately, right? That was basically a given. Sometimes it was a legit bug. Other times it was basically just coincidence, if you will. Like with passenger missions, as a matter of fact. And they still try to nerf them. And yet, when we constantly talk about, you know, combat being so unrewarding, even combat missions being so unrewarding, is there something being done to that? No. Why would it be? Ignore it. And it'll go away, probably. So yeah. It truly is a sad state when you think about the general thing. And again, this is a topic that you kind of start to talk about and start to go into as soon as you start thinking about, you know, the next big elite development thing. Because it, again, whatever developers tend to release, unless it's completely new environment like engineering, you know, a completely new feature that has its own economy, right? By the way, engineering has its own economy, and it's called materials. And materials are a currency. If you don't know why, I recommend, again, look up my engineering video that I did. Regardless. Yeah, developers just, you know, let's just release the new next big thing. And you, as a player, load it up, look at it, and start to wonder. Why is it this way? Why can't it be this other way? Well, you start to think a little bit more. You start to think a little bit more. And all of a sudden you realize that, hey, the prices, the feature is basically this way because the game's economy, because the game's state, because its brokenness essentially is the way it is. As a matter of fact, a good reference to that is shield meta, right? Essentially, the shield, well, thanks to engineering, shields are incredibly powerful. And to solve this issue of completely broken shields, as in too OP, developers have introduced this wonderful tool called Flechette Launcher. It completely ignores shields and goes through it. And that's it. That was their attempt to deal with the shield meta. To basically put out a personal narrative item that, that you unlock in order to just get past the shields and damage some internals, and that's it. It's disappointing. And I understand there's not enough time to deal with everything, and fair enough. But I don't know how about you fellas, but I certainly, when I look at Elite Dangerous, I see, okay, it's been already 3 years. Horizons, the end of Horizons wasn't the greatest result. It was rushed, it seemed, and so on and so forth. So clearly developers don't really have the time to, you know, develop new things that actually would work in a decent enough time. So fun times. And I've said this a couple of times back in the day, and even to this day I'll say, I'm fine with taking a maintenance year, which this technically was already, to fix shit. I don't need more new content. I don't need new content for Elite Dangerous to be interesting, or become interesting again. Thing is, see, I don't look at new ships as a very exciting way to make me return, because realistically speaking, new things often are just, well, okay, it's a copy paste of this other thing. Okay, one day goes by. Okay, I'm used to it. Right, the new feature, okay, maybe a week goes by and then you get used to it, but eventually you will get used to it. However, changing the game's mechanics and improving its base, first of all, often doesn't take a lot of people to do. For engineering especially, you know, value changes. All you need to do for engineering to become a little bit more manageable, if you will, is to just change a few values and literally just have an intern go in and change a few values. Sure, you're gonna have to, you know, design those values, but regardless, the fact is it's sometimes as easy as it is. Other times, some things are unfixable. Multicrew probably is the greatest example of that, but I saw in the chats there a question from Roger. Right, so I'm new to Elite. Do you play joystick or and throttle? I use keyboard and mouse, as a matter of fact. So there you go. So that's my preferred use of controls. But yeah, that first beta was disappointing tremendously, and the worst part about the first beta of Fleet Carriers was not that it was broken, but that it truly, to me at least, revealed what developers think of us. If it wasn't intended, if they didn't intend the upkeep to tell us that they want us to grind the game and that they want us to constantly return to the game, that smells of ineptitude, and that's even worse. If it wasn't malice, if it wasn't on purpose, and it was just, you know, because there wouldn't be anything else that would be penalizing you, that's your ineptitude at being able to make a flip side to that positive. There are so many ways you can design a fleet carrier. First of all, persistence, right? Okay, it's nice to have persistence between even all consoles and platforms, sure. But if persistence causes, or rather makes, the fleet carriers indestructible, or forces fleet carriers to be indestructible, or something else, as a matter of fact, and that causes even greater issues, you know, snowball effect exists, right? So maybe there's a different way to implement a big ship in the game that wouldn't snowball so hard. That's what I'm usually saying about, no, just because, you know, it has these things and that I want them all to exist. As a matter of fact, you know, again, I personally don't want the upkeep at all. Persistence, I don't care about persistence too much. So, but then again, persistence also brings in some positives. That is true. Anyways, TheYamiks, have fun and good stream. Yes, to you too. So, thing is, with every new feature, don't lock yourself in the mind. What I'm saying is essentially, yeah, when you're talking, when you're actually looking at any new feature, don't lock yourself into thinking that whatever developers have put out is how it should be put out, or rather that it can't be ever changed or questioned. You know, persistence is a good example, right? Well, I'm questioning whether or not it should be there, right? Because it does cause issues. Like commodity market, whether it should be there. And so on and so forth. Whether even we would need fleet carriers. Well, so there you go. Let's see.
So the most fun, the most fun I had during the second beta of the fleet carriers. That was when we were. So the original plan was getting a few PvP ships out to a really cool-looking place and do some PvP in front of a nice backdrop. And we ended up jumping the fleet carrier into the jet cone of a neutron star. And that was really the most funny part of it, because while you were docked, the ships were blaring alarms at you, and eventually, at least for me, the sound cut off completely. Like, there were so many alarms coming in that the sound system of the game was completely overwhelmed and just quit
There's
working.
usually a limit of whatever sound effects that the game is capable or willing to put forth. I definitely know that in Unity you have a sound source limit when you're, programming a whole fucking scene, right? Or putting shit in it. You can't just have too many sound effects playing at one time or whatnot else. So that's kind of
I
interesting.
think with sound, it's more an issue of that you want to prevent clipping.
Oh,
so
yes.
that, if you add too many sounds on each other, that you exceed
becomes
the
louder.
value for. Yeah, and eventually we will. So you can either saturate the waveform or you can just roll it over, but it both causes distortion. So
sure.
something you want to avoid.
Speaking of fleet carriers, right? The Gay Musli? Did I get that? Anyways, well, let's go with Gay or Musli. Sorry if I don't get your name right. Anyways, the upkeep is not the only problem. Oh yes, speaking of useless. So let's get into the next big issue. Once the bigger sort of topics and so on and so forth have been literally critiquing for the last hour and so would be fixed. Let's just say upkeep is completely gone. Something else as a punishment or a flip side, the positives is being introduced, is placed in the fleet carriers. Let's say that happens. Well, what's next? Well, there are issues even beyond the upkeep, as a matter of fact. And one of those things is the stocking, right? First things first, my ideal fleet carrier probably would be you get it for free after reaching Triple Elite. You don't get to decide what it stocks, what it sells beyond the commodity market. And that's it. You just have a pretty lifeboat, if you will. That's it. That's my perfect, fleet carrier. I don't need it to do many things. It just sits there and is pretty. Let's see. God damn it, where was I going? I keep losing my train of thought here. Well, there goes brain freeze. Shit. I'm drawing a complete blank now. God. This is why I write down my things. Oh no, I had such a decent idea there. Okay, that's it. I completely lost it. Yep, that's it. I had an idea. It's gone. Ah, right, there we go. Right. Stocking. Kind of, right. So, in my mind, right, the stocking issue would basically be annihilated as soon as you standardize basically every fleet carrier. Yes, the customization is gonna be going away if you take away all of the customization, clearly, right? But on the other hand, it makes them more predictable. Right? For example, in any fleet carrier that you see out there that has refueling, you know that you will be able to refuel. You won't need to refuel your, your pilot or your ship fuel tank A, fuel tank B, or something like that. You'll know that it will refuel all of it, and that's it. The same thing could go with stocking. If you take away the customization, you allow for more standardized setup. Yes, not everyone's gonna be able to, stock them properly, what else, the way they want it, but on the other hand, at least it'll make it more predictable. But that has its own issues as well. And but yeah, in general, the current version fleet carrier essentially is lacking, even still lacking the customization capability. Because you see, I did ask developers, why is stocking in bundles, right? Why do I need to buy all the limpet controllers if I only want just the repair limpets? limpet controllers, or if I just simply want, I don't know, collectors or prospectors only, or collectors and prospectors only, right? Why can't I do single module collector sort of stalking, right? Well, the answer there is developers. Let's see, what was the answer that they gave me? It was to make it more easy for you to stock limpet controllers, and that you would not forget limpet controllers. But excuse me if I'm being a bit bold here, but wouldn't introducing manual stocking and bundle stocking a proper thing? If you don't want to forget that you have, if you don't want to forget any limpet controller, just take a bundle, which hosts all the bundles. If you want to specifically waste your time as well and do one by one, then you go manual stocking. And to me, this just okay. I can understand that if you put things in bundles, it's way easier to calculate for the game developer, and probably also UI designer for design. But it's certainly not very customizable nor good for us. It's, first of all, it's a compromise that didn't ask to be there, right? Either you give us the full, you know, the customization, or just make it rigid. That'll be more useful than anything else. And of course, there were also the questions that I raised with all within the video that I did about this whole fucking thing. Doesn't, you know, having this many limpet controllers speak of a bigger issue within Elite? Like, why do we in the first place have this many fucking limpet controllers? Why can't there be, let's say, one master limpet controller that you can program however you like it? Rather than having 109 types of fucking things, or whatever the number was. Doesn't matter. That's again, your excuses that developers' excuses is just admissions of bigger issues that they are unwilling to acknowledge. And I'm just scratching my head thinking, what the fuck?
Well, it's box check thinking. Like, okay, we have like 5 grades and we have A to E, so we have to put something in each of these boxes.
Yeah, checkbox development, ladies and gentlemen. That's engineering also. Shujin, hey, nice to see you. And everyone else who's joining today. Hopefully you know, like a little bit of rambling and whatnot else. But yeah, stalking is a big issue, as a matter of fact. And the worst thing is that, yes, you allow us to stalk, relatively speaking, to our own desires, you know, whatever we want to put on our fleet carriers, we can sort of put within the, you know, boundaries of reason, or what was the margins of reason, whatever that was. I English bad today. Yeah, within reason, right? Within reason, you can equip whatever you want in your fleet carrier within the limitations. Okay, but if you are willing to sell the shit to others, or rather, if it is designed to sell shit to others, then why can't I sell it for a appealing price? Right? The thing is, if I want to sell it for free, why can't I? Like I lose money, but you get the, you know, module. Why not? That's a big question. Because realistically speaking, ask yourself, what would be the... Let's say you run a typical fleet carrier, and I'm not talking about a deep space fleet carrier where you're literally the only thing around. When you're running a normal fleet carrier in the bubble, which is most likely where you're going to be using it most of the time, why would anyone go to your or anyone else's fleet carrier when we all know that whatever you buy on them is gonna be, at best, equal price to a nearby starport. You're literally trying to compete with a starport for potentially, starports even have, especially in Gems and Memorial, right, lower prices than usual stuff. So why would anyone go to your fleet carrier to outfit on it? Well, the only answer is, unless it's the only thing for thousands of light years. Only then. Otherwise, either you're willing to pay for convenience, or why would you even bother? And yeah, and of course on the top of that is, okay, let's say you are willing to become the space patron for someone else's carrier, right? You just want to go and, you know, buy shit from the player rather than the starport, right? And fuck it. So be it. Let's say you want to buy something specific. Let's say hull reinforcements. Well, let's say you are in a system with, let's say even 10 fleet carriers. Yeah, 10 fleet carriers seems like a decent, you know, amount for a decently popular system, right? How is a player able to actually tell what the fleet carrier has on board? Well, the answer is, there is no way. So, either A, you're willing to go and literally waste your time trying and you know, pray to RNGs that that person has actually bought whatever you want to buy, or waste your time literally just go and look through all the fleet carriers. And remember, because there's a limited stock of everything, every day these parts that the fleet carrier may have, well, they may change, and the fleet carrier's owners will have to constantly go back and resupply. So let's say you run out of hull reinforcements, right? Normal hull reinforcement, D-rated, whatever, right? You run out of those things, and you still have like module reinforcements galore. No one's buying those things. Again, we're coming back to the topic of, why can't I simply pick up more hull reinforcements because I know that there is a demand for them, and just dispose of all the fucking module reinforcements? Fuck that stuff. But even so, it's just, developers are literally not providing us with any tools to tell what fleet carriers have on board, so we have to literally go and discover what the fucking things have on board, or just fuck off and never use them. And let's be honest, how many of us will actually bother going to fleet carriers and discover what they have on board? And okay, I mocked the whole discover thing, because on beta 1, when developers were asked, you know, why can't we find on Galaxy map, or I'm paraphrasing, why can't we find where fleet carriers are being sold? The answer, again paraphrased, is you need to go and discover it for yourself. And in the world, in the year 3000 and something, where clearly internet has existed for a fucking millennia, you couldn't even have a simple message board, you know, even if it is manually by USB sticks being distributed from world to world, be quite literally distributed. Like, you can't post a message board of, you know, last known places that sold this, and this. We don't live in future? Okay. This, of course, is me trying to apply game logic to the game mechanics. See, developers want us to go and discover many things in Elite. That's why the Galaxy map doesn't, I assume, list, you know, what commodity markets have, why the Galaxy map doesn't have many other little details about starports visible straight from the Galaxy map. That's why you need to go to them, because you need to discover them. And original idea was that, you know, hey, I assume at least, that they wanted us to literally go to these starports and visit them and interact with these new places, new, you know, probably people or NPCs and what else. In idea, yes. Okay, as an idea, that doesn't sound right, like too bad of a thing, right? That's why in many games you don't see just that one vendor or that one merchant or trader or whatnot else that sells everything, or that every trader has the same fucking thing. It's often, you have one specific trader in one place, other one in different place, because it encourages you to, or rather forces you to go from one place to another to discover these things and look at scenery and spend time playing it. Sometimes it's done really well. Other times, when you have shit bazillion fucking stations that are procedurally generated all over the motherfucking cosmos, well, it becomes kind of a bitch to do. Yeah. So for a game like Elite, that excuse doesn't quite work anymore. And I personally see this as developers' inability to see what Elite as a game is in the first place. They have developed this game, they have their own design philosophies, I assume. And yeah, they may work, but not on Elite, not on the game that you yourself have made. Or selves have made. Thing is, it's inability to recognize what okay, fine, if you don't recognize what the game has become or what the game was or is or what else, fine. Listen to your listen to your community. They play your game, they change the game. Warframe, anyone? A game that literally was changed because, well, somebody was doing rufflecopters. And that was really fun for them. To finish a stage in such a quick time that basically instead of literally nerfing it and changing it to apply it to the desired design idea, they implemented it. And that literally, Warframe is no exception in this sort of a style. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite sort of games in the early 2010s? Yeah, early 2010s was Tribes Ascent. A game which its own main fucking function came from a glitch, essentially. This is how many things happen. Just because, something wonderful just appears, happens, whatever, as a bug or intended, and either community embraces it or, well, sort of dogs it, if you will. And from that, developer has to adjust if they want their, community as well as the game to grow. So Elite hasn't taken that on board at all. In fact, the interaction between the developers and the community has been so minimal. I'm rather surprised to see developers even go to these, community events. Elite meet and what else. Like, developers, not the community team. Community teams, that's literally their job to go to these things. But for developers, I'm surprised to go see them there. And it's nice to see them there, sure. But the fact that just, at least the heads, the management of Frontier, in general, to be honest, doesn't seem to be willing to interact with the general public. I can understand. Everyone has their own job, but it's literally your livelihood. It's your job to make a game. And sure, there are many aspects of the game, but god fucking damn it, community these days. If you ignore community of your fucking video game, I'm sorry. It ain't gonna have a great, development cycle or fucking lifespan, as a matter of fact. So yeah. And Fleet Carriers is a good example of just basically a lot of questions about that. It questions not only the interaction between the community and the developers' ability to take criticism and feedback on board, even though they seem to take on some critique. Again, yeah, we develop this thing, and as long as your idea of what we are developing is, you know, according to our plan, we may implement it. But we are sure as fuck not gonna alter it to fit your worldview, even though it might be right. So, yeah. As long as, you know, changes aren't too drastic. And again, value changes from 5 billion to 1 billion, what else? That's a simple fucking digit change. So it's not hard. But to change a feature to fit, or rather be balanced, what else? It's make sure that it works, right? These things are, well, not the easiest ones to do. But they are necessary tremendously. Anyways, LY Xavier, let's see. Hey, what the paid update of the way at what point will you? God damn it! At what point will you say to yourself, "I'm out"? Right. So, what point will I say that I'm out of Elite Dangerous? Well, thing is. If PlanetSide is a good timer or a showcase of how long TheYamiks is willing to stay within games universe, it's 4 years probably. And this is year 3. So, yeah. But no, the thing is, with Elite Dangerous, you see, I sure as hell will be there for the paid update. I'll see how it goes, I'll critique it and blah blah blah, I'll make videos about it. And I will observe whether or not, just like the developers themselves or the company, whether the new era update is profitable for them. I'll see if it is. Well, obviously the development will continue. Well, to a certain time. But if it's not profitable and it's horribly designed, or, well, players just don't come, you know, in the expected volumes and whatnot else, well, you'll see slowdowns in development completely. And the thing is, make or break time, it is indeed. The new era is going to be make or break, but then again, honestly, that's how any big update is. Let's say a company, you know, releases a big update that they've worked on for a long ass time. And, you know, sure, new players come in, but very little of them. Financially speaking, well, it's clear that the game is no more, at least in the current form or current development or dev team size, viable anymore. So cut down on developers or cut down on something else, and maybe even just move on to a new product. That's pure simple business, and Elite is no different really. So again, it will depend on the new era. It will depend on how successful it is. So we'll see. But there you go. I personally would like to see Elite, you know, improve upon everything, right? I'm still waiting for the combat changes, you know, the profits from the combat. I would like to see complete, you know, economy revamp. I would love to see fucking dynamic economy. As in, you know, a true dynamic economy, not, you know, orchestrated by fucking algorithms. You have a specific amount of stuff, you transfer it from place to place, or you lose it, whatnot else. Sure, some stuff will be generated here and there. Obviously, there's bazillion tons of, you know, or bazillion fucking planets, systems, whatnot else, or starports. So there will be a little bit of generation. But regardless, dynamic markets should exist in Elite, and unfortunately, it's just not. It's not an easy thing to make, but maybe one day. So yeah. Player-driven economy. There you go. Yeah, yep. That there is something I definitely would like to see. But well, Elite is a big game. It has a lot of things. It's not a big game. Elite, as a matter of fact, is a very small game. So it has some vision. Unfortunately, the depth of it is not very big. Story-wise, it's basically non-existent. Like, I truly can't tell you how horrible the story handling is in Elite. It's depressing sometimes. So yeah, story is something definitely they should have, could have, and well, probably will. iterate. Well, should have iterated already. Could have, definitely. Will, well, iterate on story. That's a big question mark. Anyways, forgotten image. Anyways, any other new content on beta besides broken fleet carriers? No. Oh wait, no. There was one new wonderful thing. As a matter of fact, the only purely positive thing coming out of the betas in this menu, right? Below pending friends, I think. Below, somewhere here, next to pending friends, there will be queue for CQC. Only when you're docked, of course, but there will be a button to queue for CQC. It worked. So that literally will be the positive thing. So there you go. Yeah. Let's see, the story is the biggest problem, isn't it? Without an actual narrative, this is a Second Life without building ability. If leaks are to be believed, building will be coming in the new era, so it may turn into Second Life, but if you want to see the bigger, more funnier, oftentimes, Second Life simulator, then, Star Citizen, anyone? Yeah, Star Citizen is always pretty fun. As in, laughing at it. So, yeah. Anyways. Right, let's see. What else we got? Any other... probably missed a couple of questions. Let me just go through the chats and see. Allison, right? So, yeah, we see, you should go set up a joint stream with Drew and get his view on how ruined the personal narrative has been. Okay, so let's talk about personal narrative real quick. So, personal narrative is essentially developer bullshit term they used essentially to describe tech brokers. Pure and simple. Tech brokers equals personal narrative. And the personal narrative, or tech brokers, essentially is unlock system in which you obviously did the same thing you do in Elite. Grind the same things. So personal narrative equals grind. Yeah. So that's literally all it is. I shit you not. I truly shit you not. Let's see, any other questions? Let's see, Shujin, right, so the thing that kills me is that there are content creators like yourself who are passionate about things and they are ignored. How strongly folks are critiquing. I'm used to it. From Planetside days, I'm fucking used to it. Because, you know, YamiKs is that one fucking piece of shit that constantly says shit, piss, cunt, tits, dicks, ass, and then most likely gonna be saying words like, you know, cunt, and whatnot else. But you know, it's a nice word. Right? Australians in the audience? It's a nice word. But yeah, in general terms, it's the... I don't know, it's either because there's that uptightness, if you will, of oh god, of not, you know, ignoring immediately old criticism that has to do with profanity or whatnot else, or maybe it's just pure and simple the way I deliver my critique. Because let's be honest, I'm not very soft on critique. I'm not the yeah, I do recognize that, and I do it for a reason, indeed. But there are others that do deliver critique in what people say is better. It's just different, in my opinion, but well, it depends how deep it is and how much it critiques and so on and so forth. But regardless, those folks being ignored, now then I too get sort of depressed, because there are some other creators, you know, that I personally know that, you know, have basically said the same things or gone into even bigger detail sometimes than yours truly, and nothing has ever changed. Sure. Yeah. Not, you know, not just doing whatever that one YouTuber is saying is probably a better idea than listening and doing everything that, you know, that person with the microphone, you know, tells you to do, obviously. But, hey, listen to their critique. Maybe even respond. Saying. Anyways. Let's see, any other questions from the streams? Gameusly, the problem is that mentality of the devs, mandate that someone grind instead of making it fun to grind it. Right. Right. Elite's development. Right. Grinding, right? So can grind be fun? Yes. The answer is purely yes. I mean, look at, you know, more popular free-to-play games. They are all about fucking grinding, and they are fun. That's why people play them, right? There's obviously that element of fun in them. But can Elite's grind be made fun? Well, yes. As long as it's in proper doses. The problem is with Elite Dangerous that it's just the dosage and uncontrollability at which the players are allowed to grind these things and blah blah blah. Basically, because it is such a free open world, it kind of tends to make it impossible to change it. But well, not always. You can always offer some incentives or. No, honestly, it's been done in many games to sort of incentivize people to do different things or alleviate grinding a lot. Or just make grinding still be very atrocious, just introducing, well, alternatives to it that often are more fun. I mean, let's be honest, how many of you would be interested in, I don't know, a raid in Elite? Well, considering that if wings would work properly and 100% of the time. Okay, let's take, you know, for example, that wings work 100% of the time. How many of you would like to see, I don't know, a proper raid, like, I don't know, any MMORPG out there, right?
Oh, I would. I
would personally, you know, something to do for endgame players for sure, right? And I'm probably gonna die soon. Oh well, screw it, doesn't matter. So yeah, you know, raids are a good example of how to introduce some interesting things in you know, a game. Sure, would that make sense in Elite's universe? No. But then again, not having galactic internet or message boards, being, you know, at least able to show what fucking starport has what, you know, that's also very unrealistic. So at this point, if you're using the lore or story to excuse these things, sorry, just no, it just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense often as well. Anyways, seems like I'm being killed. So that's gonna be a no. Alright, well, in any case, I guess I might as well go and do a little bit of combat fighting right now. But yeah, so fleet carriers, in recap, essentially lacking at least half of the fucking tools to make them useful in the current form that they are placed in. And on addition, they're also tremendously penalizing in a most disgusting way. Okay, not tremendously penalizing. They're penalizing, but in a very disgusting way. There you go. That's a better way to quote it. Yeah. There you go. That's how I would describe fleet carriers. And overall, they will be God damn it! Stop! Fucking hell! Stupid dolphin! No, wait, no, that was Orca. God damn it! My... fucking hell. Some people, man! Fucking hell. Well, at least my Python is oh so hard that you can't penetrate it that easily. Or make it limp. God damn it. Oh. So yeah, fleet carriers, another corporate mandate, it seems. Or a mandate from higher ups that make literally no sense. Anyways, that's me. Oh, also Spatula in the chat. Sorry, I kind of noticed, didn't shout you out. Anyways, if you want to come and chat a little bit, feel free. Voice is open for you. That aside, I might as well go and hold on. Now I'm ready. Now my Python is ready for fighting. Yes. Yeah, fun. But yeah, fleet carriers, to me, really, fleet carriers as a feature, just like pilot, I don't care. Mostly, I don't care. Again, I care because, well, I look at the whole game, I look at what it does to the community, or what kind of a perception the developers have about the community, and in that level, I truly do care and just fucking hate to see the shitty results that I see. But that aside, yeah, fleet carriers basically will be just unused crap. Some will use it, sure. There will be people that will use it, but from the folks that can use it, not a lot of them will. And in general, that's just the use of the fucking fleet carrier is so small, frankly. Why no use vet? Because my Corvette's not set up for any kind of fighting. Yeah, it's not very juiced up. It's no bueno. Anyways, if you want to come and fight me, I am in open. I am in, well, Shinra Desert, so you'll have to have elite rank. But honestly, not having elite rank these days with all that, you know, grinding stuff that is going on, well, frankly, mad props for not grinding, I guess. Or you're new. In which case, sorry. Maybe next time. But yeah, fleet carriers. It's fucking mess, man. Anyways, yeah, wouldn't you rather be able to fly a capital ship? I don't care. I personally really don't care at one point or another. First of all, if you have gone close up and looked at the capital ship, they don't look very pretty. Personally, the thing is, there is a time when a ship becomes too large, clearly. So, yeah, I'd say something that is capable of transporting... Basically, I'd say a ship that is at best... like the biggest ship in the world, like a sea ship, you know, the cargo transporting container ships. A bit larger than that, and that's the limit at which I'd personally put a pin in it, because after that the size becomes too massive and it becomes unrealistic, and also kind of boring to fly, because that big mass needs to turn, and let's be honest, unless it becomes realistic.
Yeah, the inertia is...
Yeah, exactly.
No.
It
Small
breaks
ships are much more fun.
immersion, if you will. So yeah. Alright. So yeah.
I have a question, sir.
Shujin, you're very silent.
Does it help if I turn that up a little bit better?
A little bit.
Well, figures. 75%. How's that?
Well, hearing crackling, still haven't fixed that, I see.
I've been working on that for years. You think I'm gonna fix that in a couple of days?
Well, it's
I know,
software.
I know,
It's software,
I know.
clearly, so yes.
It is
Software. So in software, you see, you can have like 400% improvement if you get a breakthrough in coding. So, oh, give or
Yes,
take.
one of these days I'll work on it. Here's my question. What the hell do you mean your Corvette is not outfit for fighting?
It's storage.
What the hell are you doing?
Well, what do you think? I mean, I have plenty of fucking things that are in storage and what else, and I have no more place to put in my, what was it?
It's what condos are for.
Module thing. I don't want to. The thing is, I have one of every ship, right? I'm not gonna buy more or less of anything else. So as long as I keep that one of every ship, some of those things will be relegated to basically just the storage. And as it happens, well, Corvette is, you know, big, so it has plenty of space. So, and I don't really use it for anything much. So there you go.
Nah.
What do you want from me? So yeah. Anyways, kept our ships with minimum multi-crew required to operate. Yes, no. 7 circles in the way the multi-crew exists in the current state. Fuck no. Just fuck no. If you're talking about fleet carrier like in, oh, I don't know, Planet Side 2, hell yes. If you don't know how the fleet carrier works in PlanetSide 2, essentially you have every, I think it was 2 hours, or was it an hour? Regardless, once in a long time, you can summon, if you have, you know, collected enough stuff, that one big ship. It, you know, kind of slowly moves across the map and whatnot else. There are a couple of gunner seats, and everyone else just sits in. If they decide to leave the fleet carrier in PlanetSide 2, they get a free, kind of shitty, but still, fighter vehicle without much of a equipment, right? Still, it's something at least, right? And then free. So there you go. You go and fight. Personally, I find that a really cool idea. It's fun. It truly is hell of a fun, and at this point, it was a really good move from PlanetSide devs, Rogue Planet, whatever, to introduce those things. So mad props to them, and they did it quite well. There are some tweaking and idea changes in what does, sure, that could be implemented later, but as is right now, PlanetSide's already a massive, you know, just circle jerk in fucking biolabs. As soon as we can take it into skies, fuck yes. So there you go. So yeah, I don't know, that's my 2 cents. But as is right now in Elite, it's just a good old nope. It's just a good old nope. But that's business, no risk, lackluster gain. Not necessarily, though. Alright, let's see. Be a dictator with the Eagle build. Sure. Well, in any case, I'll take one more. Well, rather, I'll take a couple of fights. Or, well, fuck it. Let's just go for one fight, and we'll see what's what for the end of the stream, essentially. So yeah, in recap version, fleet carriers, very poor showing. It truly disappointed me to see developers essentially reveal either that they are inept or maliciously hating players. Or, well, reveal what they think of us as players, because fucking hell. So, yeah. So, very kind of sad, to be honest. Let's see, Joe, right, so, what do you think about internal spaces within ships and stations? What do you mean? Need to give me more than that. Kinda, eh? Swiggity swooty, I see a booty. Har har har. Doop 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 doop. Come on. Hey, here we go, Swiggity swooty. I'm coming for that booty. Yes.
Here's a question for you.
Yes.
It's got nothing to do with anybody else's, but only as like an insight to you. What is it that you actually enjoy about Elite currently?
About Elite, a challenge. PvP would be a great example. Oh, guys, this is a shieldless one. Oh, boy. Boop. And run. You stole 2% of my hull. Now you pay. Oh, no. Okay, you want to fight? Okay. Alright, you want to fight? You want to fight. Let's go. Then, no, you... Well, yeah, anyways, let's go. Alright, you want to fight? You want to fight. Let's go. Oh, come on. I actually hit him. Actually, now that I think of it, why am I can snipe his ass. Alright, here we go. Alright, here we go. Oh, come on. Fuck's sakes. I can't aim for shit today. Oh, baby. Ah! Okay, you know what? Back to original idea. Railguns ain't no working. Yeah. I really need to play Elite more and more and more to just get used to fucking railguns, otherwise you're just never gonna properly use them.
So on the question, what player of Elite enjoys about it? For me, it's more like when I come home after a long day and just want to relax and just cruise between planets and stars and just relax. Or if there are a few of my friends online and we are just going to do something together, like go into a Hazres site and just tomfoolery around together.
Oh, come on, let me aim at you, damn it! You're too maneuverable. There we go.
Yeah, by the way, Rafe is saying over there that you're not very good at this, are you?
Oh, you don't say,
no, he's not.
I do my best, you know? Almost every stream I do go in open and try to PvP, but you know, that's the thing. I just, most of the time I spend in Sony Vegas editing shit, so that's where my skill is. And even then my videos are questionable, right? So...
Yeah, what we need to do is buy, collectively, we need to buy him a controller. You know,
what?
like a steering wheel. That's exactly what he needs. He needs an F1 steering wheel for this thing.
Why would you think that that would help?
Well, because the other alternative would be to use a Rock Band guitar, and I really don't think that you've got the dexterity for that.
It's potato. It's used potato. There we go. Is very good potato. Is very controller. Oh, come on. There we go. God damn it. Me no hitty good, damn it. And I only wish I had my Docker machine here. Oh, it would be so easy. Because it has gimbal, damn it. Yep, there goes start. Okay, malfunctions are starting to happen. Thanks, appreciate it. Oh, crying out loud, me.
Seven Circles is man after my own heart. An Atari controller. No. I've broken more of those than I care to admit to in my day. No.
What about that that power glove? There we go.
Power glove. Yeah, I got 2 words for you. There it is. I can't do it. My cheeks. Here. Yeah, nobody needs that on your streams.
Sure? I guess? I don't know. You'd be surprised sometimes. I mean, that's why a while back Twitch had to implement a specific... God damn it! There goes my fucking canopy. Okay, you know what? No. Not gonna fucking give up that easily. No. Damn it, I can't see the fucking reticle. Fuck me. Alright, railguns it is. Fuck. Come on. Well, I managed to hit him a couple of times. Yeah, certainly not my capabilities today. Oh well. It was a really nice fight, truly. It's rare when I get to see some non-Furtherlands ships out there. So it's really nice to fight against those. Furtherlands or cutter ships, that is. You know, those two fucking things are constantly being used, so no. Yeah. I need to get good. Very get good, so... Oh, what can I say? Sucks to be me. Well, anyways, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream and all that wonderful stuff, and yeah, I guess for this evening I'll have to cut it short. No, not really short. I mean, 2 hours been quite interesting. So yeah, the recap of the betas is just... Sure, developers showed that they kinda listened to some feedback, but mostly feedback that didn't quite matter as much as some other specific things on specific matters, that is, that are less important. Because the thing is,
what I really wonder is, how did they manage to introduce into the second beta? It wasn't before in the first beta. The visual bug with the FSS and VR.
Oh.
So when you started the VSS and VR, you suddenly sat in your cargo hold.
Oh yeah, that was...
How did that happen?
I don't know. Ask UI designers. Probably they're the ones to be blamed for shit. But anyways, yeah, fleet carriers. Basically, without actually being able to tell what they have on board specifically, they will become very useless at trading at literally anything, because commodity market truly needs it. And if developers think that relying on third-party tools to do the work that they should have done in the first place is a way for the future, well, may I present... hold on, I'll Google for a picture there. Let me just show you what picture I meant there. They think that that relying on third-party tools is something that a game developer should do to make their game playable is, from me to developers, basically this. How about you do your fucking job and make a proper game? Okay? Okay. There we go. Anyways. So yeah. Fleet carriers will probably end up being questionable, and at best, and most likely unused like multi-crew in most cases. Sure, there will be someone that eventually gonna be using it. I definitely know that hull seals and fuel rods will probably use at least a few, so fun times. But I know that AXI will have some, or at least one, but even they just don't really want to bother with it, so fun. A useless feature that essentially showed what developers truly think of you as a player. Elite is now your second job. Enjoy. Fucking hell. Anyways, on the brighter note, well, there will be probably some more interesting things coming in next couple of weeks and whatnot else on the video side that I'm making and all that stuff, so we'll see what's what. That aside, well, hey, always feel free to rewatch my videos and so on and so forth. Do subscribe, follow on the Twitch, YouTube, whatnot else. And yeah, if you enjoyed the stream, well, what can I say? Maybe check out Patreon. That aside, well, wish you the best. Take care and stay healthy, if you will. Mining Fest. Yes, I am intending to organize the third Mining Fest just before the update goes live. Hopefully, it won't be like literally a day before, you know, day before whatnot else. But regardless, we can always do the Mining Fest after the patch is released. Who knows? Although that means we won't have the same boron triple hotspot. It's not the main idea of it. Regardless.
Hey, Yamiks.
Hey.
Yamiks. Come on, 12 hours of mining. Come on, we can.
No.
Sorry, 16 hours of mining. Come on,
No.
we can do it. You and me. Come on, we can do it.
No, and with that wonderful note, good day, folks.